Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our review of Violent Night.
Where is it? I gotta watch.
I believe in you, Santa.
Come on. Which one of you did that?
So yeah, this one, first Christmas film of the year. I can say first one that I've watched. Luke, what about you? You watch any Christmas stuff leading out of Thanksgiving, or is this a first for you?
No, that's untrue. I mean, like Christmas stuff, I watched. They had Christmas Vacation on,
Okay.
and also Elf. Now, those were instances, as everyone knows, I did not make the Sunday Scaries. I was sitting in a hospital room, so I was, while watching television. So I've seen those two films, but that's it.
Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, for me, first Christmas flick of the year. And I gotta say, what a movie. What an interesting way to kick off this year, and especially because this seems to be the year of the killer Santa Claus film.
This is
Because we are
true.
not only getting this, we are getting another one next week with Joe Bagos's is it
Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Christmas Bloody Christmas? That's what it is. I almost called it Bloody Christmas Bloody or something. But
Hell.
yes, so yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and just a little sneak peek for what we got coming to the channel. There's going to be a lot more killer Santa Claus talk as we go through this month of December. But yeah, kicking things off with Violent Night. This has been anticipated. We've been talking about it for a few months now. We reported on it back in July, I think it was, when we first when this story first broke. We covered this and a bunch of other Christmas stuff like mid-July. And, we were excited about this. I mean, David Harbour, we're fans of him from Stranger Things and other projects. The idea of Santa Claus going all John McClane on people, great. All sounded amazing. Luke, how do you feel about this movie?
Walking in the theater, going into it, we did our short, and all I said is this all had the box that this had to check was fun. And for me, this absolutely worked. I thought it was a lot of fun sitting in the theater. I thought there were a lot of fun moments. So walking out of the theater here after seeing Violent Night, I was not disappointed.
Yeah, and for me, I can say the movie is fun for sure. And I wanted it to be fun, so it does check that box for me. I just think that personally, it dragged a bit in a few spots. And I just felt like that was not something I was expecting. Because to me, this is a very straightforward story. At least it should have been. And they tried to give it a little bit more, I think you said before we recorded, teeth than I think was even necessary for the concept. Like, I appreciated it in the sense of just like, okay, they're trying to do a little something extra here, but it just ended up being really paint by numbers what they tried to do with it. And then also was just kind of like the amount of time they spent with it, the amount of downtime we had. It really just kind of left me being like, I guess just kind of like, this is not really how I wanted to spend my action Santa Claus killing bad guys film, and I gotta say, for a movie called Violent Night, until the third act, there's there's one really decent kill, I would say, that is like very R-rated, very much what I was expecting. The other kills before that third act kicks in, pretty lackluster in my opinion. I was hoping for a little bit more creativity and a little bit more of the gory stuff. Maybe I'm a little spoiled because we've had films like Terrifier 2 come out this past year that really ramp up the gore, so maybe my gauge is a little off, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted some more from my Killer Santa film.
And for this one here, I think when we're talking about killer Santas, you look at Silent Night, Deadly Night, or as we're talking about Joe Bagos's Christmas, Bloody Christmas. For me, this isn't necessarily a killer Santa. This is more so,
And that's fair.
A combination of, reminiscent of John Wick in the Santa Claus field, I guess you would say. So I wasn't really expecting this gore fest or any in any sense like that. This is kind of reminiscent of Die Hard, and uh, I'm not saying it's top tier Die Hard. And we're not making that
Yeah.
comparison. We're saying thematically, this is Die Hard esque. And I mean, you look at that film, John McClane's getting his ass kicked for half of the movie. He's very much a guy that's trying to stay away, rather than this Arnold Schwarzenegger badass guns blazing. And we get the same thing here, I feel, where
Yeah, and
Santa
I'll give it
Claus is
that.
there to deliver presents. And the connection that you're talking about, where maybe this drags a little bit, for me, it's like they needed something there. Again, he's not going out on Christmas Eve to kill bad guys. He gets stuck in an instance and maybe even tries to leave before. But then he has a connection here, and you have your naughty and your nice list. So he's kind of very much stuck in a corner of uh, fight or flee. So he stays. He puts his feet in the dirt, and he goes to Santa Claus comes to town, as they say. But so it's like in what you're saying in terms of maybe they backloaded this with a lot of the kills. I think that was absolutely intentional because going into as we were sitting there in the theater experience, I believe it was you who verbalized. You said, "Oh, this is really getting going now," and I think they wanted that switch. And I like the backstory that they tell with Santa Claus here, where they do
I
give
do
him
like
a
that. I thought that that was neat. I thought that was really creative and cool. But
and
again,
that's
real quick before I let you continue, I felt like we still didn't get enough of that.
well, but okay, and that's where it's like I don't think we needed. Uh, we got the themes that we needed to get the motivation of to flip that switch. So we can't really spend that much time, from my perspective, in what he was before, because again, it's Violent Night. We're focusing more so on Santa Claus. So I think, from my perspective, at least, we got what we needed to, because we understand why he's doing what he's doing. Because for me, if we didn't get what he was originally, maybe it wouldn't make sense as to why that switch was flipped. So kind of giving us that backstory just a little bit and seeing what he was, I think, was unique and different, because we don't really ever get that type of thing with Santa Claus. So we did give him a little bit of a extra dimension here. So um you know I could say, yeah, the back half was pretty loaded with a lot of crazy kills, but I think it was absolutely intentional, because as soon as that started going, it was like a thrill ride. And I think that was kind of that pacing that they wanted.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand that, but like for me, I just think like I said it to you coming out of it too. I just was like, and this is an unfair criticism, maybe, but for me, I also came out saying, man, could you imagine this movie being directed by John McTiernan? Like just how like more gritty I think the film would have been, and just how like I think the relationship dynamic would have been more balanced, because I mean we can compare it straight up to Die Hard. He's on a radio most of the film talking to another character, just like John McClane. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like there are moments where I just really felt like, okay, I want this to really grab me and get me there. It was almost like we're almost over the hump, but we just never got there for me. There
Yeah.
were moments that were very entertaining. Like, don't get me wrong. I still think the movie is a lot of fun, and I'm still at the end of this just gonna say I recommend it. But it just, to me, if I'm being completely honest, I never got that full satisfaction that I was really looking for out of the movie. I never got that full, you know, we're here with it. And I think another reason why that kind of bums me out is because I love the dynamic between David Harbour and John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
I thought that they were really both doing a great job, really chewing up their scenery. I thought that that was a lot of fun what they were able to do. John Leguizamo really, you could tell, had a really good time playing that kind of Hans Gruber-esque bad guy. I thought that that was a really fun and awesome scene when they have a little bit of FaceTime and they're talking to each other, and kind of the way that Santa Claus kind of reveals information to them. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of glossing it over because I don't want to spoil. And I love that. But again, it's just I feel like there were moments that, we spent in other places where we could have gotten more of that, or we could have gotten more interplay between them, which was really what I liked. And again, just that grittiness really felt like it wasn't there for me for the concept of it. And I mean, you compare it to like a John Wick with the Santa Claus gimmick. And even then, I feel like the John Wick movies do a little bit of a better job with their action and really selling that to me. Like I said, in the third act, we really get things going. There's a lot of really gruesome and cool kills. But it's just kind of like the build up was slow, and the build up was kind of I guess I was kind of just waiting for that switch to flick. And for me, I guess I just wasn't here for it on that, especially coming from the director of the Dead Snow movies.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of expected a little bit more of that kind of gut punch, because those movies are full of practical effects violence. And I will say a criticism to this is that a lot of the violence is CG. So it is one of those things where it's like, I guess that kind of makes me lose that grit too as well.
Yeah, and going into, we'll make comparisons all day. Where saying that this could be kind of more so reminiscent of Die Hard, and Die Hard is a masterpiece in itself. And that's
Absolutely.
where it's kind of like saying every shark film should live up to Jaws. And Die Hard was working from its own more so original blueprint. It was creating the blueprint for what we have. So, like, Violent Night was very, I think, intentionally was supposed to be reminiscent of Die Hard without actually having the gravitas of Die Hard. And nothing against the director of Violent Night, but when we're coming out of something like a Dead Snow, I don't know necessarily if I'm expecting a quality of a Die Hard film that's lived on decades upon
And
decades.
yeah,
In this one, I think is also kind of unique where um, this action wise, yes, this is similar to a John Wick style, and I think that's what they were going for. I think they were kind of banking on that how popular John Wick and those style films are. But one of the differences I feel in this is John Wick um, has almost a endless factory of bad guys that he can dispose of, where here we don't really get that. They find a way to add to the body count. Again, that has to be closer toward the end of the film because of plot points of an unveiling of sorts. And we get that to a certain extent, but we don't really have that factory because Santa Claus is trapped in a house, so we don't have uh, a lot of a big body count to start with. So it's kind of, I think you have to make most of the cast that basically infiltrates the home and kind of play with it a little bit and kind of get that stuff going so that by the time we do hit that body count, they make it count. And I think they do in this film. Like you were talking about John Leguizamo, um, the guy can do no wrong. Having him as the main villain here, I think maybe that would be a critique. I mean, he does get screen time, but to kind of have him even more would never be a bad thing.
mhm.
So having him maybe have a few extra scenes, but again, I love he plays almost his motivation's kind of almost funny in a sense, but he delivers it very seriously.
And
So
it feels personal, and I
yeah,
like that between him and David Harbour. Like it really felt like that really sold me.
yeah,
Their kind of interplay, and I enjoyed it. It made that final fight very kind of exciting, I would say.
yes.
Which it's real easy to fall into that oh, it's just this is the end of the movie fight, we got to see what happens. But no, it was still very interesting, and I was curious to see where it went.
Yeah, in coming out of this film, I know we're jumping all over in terms of movie references and all these different things. There was a film, I believe it was last year, that really kind of left me wanting more. It was called Fat Man, with Walton Goggins and Mel Gibson. And that film I thought was going to be something a little bit different than what I had gotten. And that one really left me, with an appetite for some sort of, Santa Claus and an actiony kind of film. Whereas this one, I feel like I got what I wanted. Where by that by that once the body count starts rising, I mean, for me, they really did deliver in that instance with um, the Santa Claus having a particular weapon of choice, and there's him in a barn, and I mean, we're going balls to the
It's a
wall,
great
and
scene. I will admit that is one of the highlights for me. And again, it's like I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I think this is a lot of fun. It's great. It just to me, I don't think really hit like I wanted it to.
yeah,
And that's just my personal opinion. A lot of people might feel the way I feel, but a lot of people might also be like, "Hey, that was great. That was everything I wanted it to be."
yeah,
And because I'm not going to sit here and say that my opinion is saying like don't go out and see it. I think that this is going to be a fun one that could really ride the coattails this entire month of just being something that people, as we get closer to the 25th, go out with friends and go see and just enjoy their time on like a Saturday night because it is funny. There's a lot of great chemistry on screen here. And, like Luke and I were saying, that third act with all the action is well worth the price of admission. I just think that I wanted to come out absolutely adoring this movie and I came out liking it. So I
yeah.
guess that's where my head's at.
Yeah, and going into this one, for me, I just had an expectation of Santa Claus murdering some dudes, and I mean, honestly, that's what I got. And with that really third act, like I said, they deliver a lot. There's a final battle that I think the tension is absolutely perfect. The setting looks nice. I like the way they built toward that, and then there is a kill closer to the end of this film. Might be one of the final ones that I thought was absolutely creative. I thought the visual was
Fantastic.
stunning. It was a lot of fun.
And again, good use of practical effects for the most part. So,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
and
where it
there's a
looks
couple
its best.
questionable CGI things in here. I'll give you that for certain. There's one that is kind of um, almost a kill, but not quite, and it's very CGI. But I think the idea of it gets a little bit extra kudos from me, even though the CGI isn't exactly on point, just because of the idea that they're delivering there. I think was pretty unique.
Absolutely. But alrighty, guys, it's going to wrap us up here for our review of Violent Night. I think definitely worth checking out this weekend. And if you can't get out there this weekend, definitely try to check it out before the end of the month. It's a good bit of fun.
Yeah,
And, for as much as I would say this, I still see myself picking this up on like a voodoo sale and adding it to my collection to maybe throw on every once in a while around this time of year because, I mean, it is still fun.
yeah.
And it could grow on me. We got a lot of time with this film, so we shall see.
Yeah, it was a great time for me. I highly recommend it. And this is one I'll definitely be picking up when it's available, and will most certainly be in my Christmas rotation for years to come.
Absolutely. But other than that, guys, you can follow us on our social medias at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at SplattercastPod, as well as if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. We are trying to get to that 500 mark. We're very, very close, just a few more subs away, and we will cross that border, and that will be amazing. Best Christmas gift we could get. And then, of course, we'll be working our way to 1,000. So if you've stopped by the channel a couple times, or this is just your first time stopping by, please hit that subscribe button if you feel we deserve it. Other than that, we do have some great content coming to you guys as we teased. We got some good stuff coming up this month with a lot of great, Santa related content, as well as some other great podcasts coming your way and some fun stuff going on with the Primetime Terrors. So definitely keep up with us on there. And yeah, Luke, you got anything else for him?
Oh man, yep. Just stay tuned. I mean, the snow is going to be turning blood red here on Splattercast, and we are going to be full on Christmas spirit for the weeks to come.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Answer. So unprofessional.